All right, let's see. Like I said, I do this every time I get inspired uh, to do it. So I'm going to do it because I'm inspired. So basically, it's something that came to my mind. And to be honest with you, I kind of forget about it. Let's see if I remember something. Basically, I was meditating, on. Uh, oh yeah, um, yeah. This is what I was a conversation that I had some relatives yesterday. Um, Picture something like this. Let's say there someone. Let's say when you were like 10 years old, someone will tell you you would only live 30 more years. That's it. Uh, you only gotta live to be 40 something. So you have about 30 something years to go at most. When you were 10 years old, you already, I mean, I remember when I was 10 years old, I had pretty good thinking about, I was already beginning to develop my process of thinking, which will eventually determine my personality when I grow old, which is what happens. Right there, that around that age, the age of 10. Before that, it's all you're exploring and everything. Of course, rule of thumb. But then when you get your past your age 10, that's when you start. Of course, you're still a kid, but I mean, you start to develop your way of thinking that will determine your future, basically, what it is. So at that age, I remember someone would told me that I would have had how should I call it? Um, I would have understood where he or she is coming from. So I would have been scared to death, and I would have been very, very disappointed, or, if you will, um, well, yeah, scared basically, and depressed. If someone had told me, because I mean, even though you are a kid at the age of 10, you still, like I said, you'd already developed the basis of what eventually is gonna be your way of viewing things. So you already have something. So at least you would be able to understand what that means. It means that so you would probably, by that age, you probably already thought, look, I mean, I want to live all the way to the year 100 years old or whatever. So I remember at that time, I remember I already had a concept of what that you know way of thinking entail. So someone had told you, what if I tell you you're not gonna live more than 40 at the age of 10? Now, put yourself in the shoes of you 10 when you were 10 years old. How would you have felt about it? Because that's probably how would you have felt about it. Again, like I said, part of your personality was already developed at the age of 10. So that's the part that I'm kind of like I'm addressing this too. That part of that was started to be developed at the age of 10. How would you felt if I told you that, you're not gonna go past, even though you already had a concept of the normal lifespan of a human being, which is 80s and the 90s or 100, something like that, right? So, and then you would have say, no way, at the age of 40? No way. And then that's would have been your attitude. Come on, man. Let's be real. I mean, I know I would have. By the way, I was already dead before the age of 10, but and that's a different story for another time. I'm for real, by the way. But anyway, but let's say someone would have told you that. Now, let's roll forward. Let's move forward and go back to the present, which when you were 10 years old, that was your, I mean, I'm assuming you are more than 10 years old, right? I'm talking to someone who is more than 10 years old, right? Okay. Fair enough. So let's say, let's move forward to the present, which is the future for the year. Now, let's say someone will tell you, yeah, you're not going to live much more than in the late 80s, early 90s, pushing your luck, so to speak. Maybe at the most 100. So you have about 30 plus years to live. I'm assuming I'm talking to someone perhaps in his 50s, you know, which is most of us, my generation anyway. Oh, okay. 50, 40, maybe 40 years if you're in your 40s. I don't know. But anyway, you don't have much more, maybe, to go more than that. Then you would probably say, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'll be um, like in my 80s, maybe 40 years down the road, in my 80s or 90s, 30 years down the road in my 80s, in my case, late 80s. So that makes sense. I mean, so now you would accept it because of that, right? And yet, in reality, deep inside, be honest about it. Deep inside, you still with the mindset of that 10-year-old. You still look at the press, right? Assuming you don't look much further than a 10-year-old, for example, which is unfortunately what most people in this aspect of this um, in this area do not go past the age of 10 or 12 or the way same way that someone or a teenager feels like on the terms of not knowing what's beyond this what we call life, right? And most of us want to go back. We reach a certain age in in our lives, we want to go back. When you were a kid, you want to go forward. You want to be 20s and whatever, and you want to go, explore the world and be on your own, become independent. Woohoo! Right? Uh, but when you go past 30, then that's when wait a minute, you're going too fast. Then you start looking at the back pains. You know, you start looking at your face, start looking at wrinkles. And then all of a sudden you're 150, 160, 170. Your weight. Wait a minute. What am I doing? I'm eating the same thing. Your metabolism slows down. Your hair start, assuming you still have it, you start getting like a little white things. You're, getting older. That's it. That's when you start. Okay, wait a minute. I didn't sign up for this. Let me go back to my 20s. You're the ones who wanted to go to your 20s. Oh, yeah, I want to go. I want to go there. Or you think your body was gonna stop? Careful what you wish for, right? No, the reality is it doesn't matter because he would have done it anyway, right? But time goes on regardless and never goes back. So it's the way it is. But what I'm getting at this at it sounds like funny, but in reality, there's a there's a some seriousness about this because that's how we are. I mean, let's face it. Even the ones that say, okay, yeah, I understand. Yeah, about 30 years, 40, it's over. But in reality, let's be honest. I mean, you get depressed if you are like most people. Unfortunately, I mean that's the way we are. However, if you are someone, unfortunately, which is in the minority, which is someone who is closer to the Lord and the things that at the end of the day matter, then your way of thinking will be, golly, 30? Why not 20? Why not 10? Golly, can I go now? That's that would be your way of thinking. Um, because I mean, you are in another level. You are spiritually speaking. You know, but most people are not there. Most people are just still focused on the things on the things of earth. I mean, look, that's why you see people like in the college. I just heard someone. I'm not gonna say the name of the actor, supposedly a famous actor. That's besides the point. You look it up. But I heard. I don't know if it's true. That's why I'm not even gonna name it. That man uh, impregnated a 29-year-old woman, and the man is 81 years old. Can you believe that? And it happens. Oh yeah, more frequently than we will want to believe. 81 years old. What business does an 81 years old has in becoming a new father of a? Yeah, you can say, well, that's his business. Yeah, absolutely. But that's my point. What business does he have to be? I mean, someone at that age, you should be getting ready to take off. That's the point. They're not. See, rather than looking forward, they do okay. I wanna, I wanna go back to my 20s or 30s or what have you. And that's a mentality, which is the wrong reason, by the way. Why would you, in the first place? What's wrong? Listen, is that your wife, for example? And you know that you're doing something wrong there, right? According to the law of God, right? So, in the first place, but still, I mean, sickening. I mean, and yet, and this is a person, very famous actor, has millions of dollars. It's not the first one, by the way. Others, I don't know about this one. I suspect he is not. It wasn't married to that woman, if it's true. Which I heard cases like that, which are true. But I mean, assuming this is the one of those, I mean, he wasn't. I got a feeling he wasn't married to her. But even the ones that get married to, I mean, I heard about this guy who was in the 70s. Like I said, I mean, at least he got married, they right away and everything. But he had two kids. Like it was in his 75 years. Of course, he died long before. I mean, they were growing up. Now that by now they're already grown up, but I mean, they never get to meet their dad. At least, I mean, um, share with them with their dad. Um, the normal things that we would like to share with our parents as we grow older. You know, and what would you, if you know statistically, the chances are you're not going to see those kids grow up because you're going to be dead before that. Why would you? Why would you put another person in? That's my point of view. Now, I would like to say it's not biblical. I mean, this is just my opinion on that. However, there's something in the Bible. You would have suspected I was going to talk about the Bible at some point. You said, where is he going with that? You already probably figured it out if you have seen these videos long enough. Um, Even though it's not in the Bible, actually, the Bible kind of leads in the direction of not doing that. Even though you're biological able to do so, that doesn't mean that you should do so, right? Case of, well, the female, obviously they stop procreating after the age of 40, whatever. But man, that's what I'm talking about more specifically about man. I mean, even though you can biologically still become a parent, I mean, that you go past, I would say probably in the 60s, you know, just get ready to leave this world and focus on that. You know. Now, I mean, the part in the Bible that actually hint in that direction, even though it doesn't say it's a sin, but actually said the Lord when the Lord talked through Holy Father Saint Paul about when you are a certain. He didn't specify what certain age, but I'm pretty sure he was using himself as an example. Let's say he was somewhere in his 40s or 50s. I don't know, probably in his 40s when he said that. It said that when you get that age, just focus on the Lord and the things of the Lord and everything. Like, don't get married. Basically that's what he was saying. I was talking to men, obviously, but it applies to women as well. But he was talking more specifically to men in this case because he was using himself as an example. But then that's when he said, "But if you're gonna fool around, you're better off getting married." But he was talking about people after you reach certain age. You see, so he's biblical, even though it's not directly mentioned in the Bible, or even though the Bible does not forbid to do so, it suggests to do so. To do it that way. It gives you suggestion. And me, I don't know about you. To me, suggestion in the Bible, I take it as if it was pretty close to a commandment, even if it's not. Like for example, the priests getting married. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with any Protestant that would say, "Oh no, you Catholic, the priests, the early churches they got married and then so on, so what?" Just because I mean that's and that goes back to the we want to go back to the early church. Okay, yo, so as a human being, would you like to go back to when you were like 3 years old, 2 years old? Ridiculous, right? So same thing happens with institutions, countries. In this case, the Catholic Church. I mean, the church. Period. Why would you like to go back to the very beginning? That's precisely of having a very beginning, so that you can develop and continue to develop and grow, and never go back. Yeah, just you remain. You keep the fundamental, which is the teachings of the Lord. I bless the Lord, but those teachings were forever. They are universal because they are God's. The word of God never grows old. It's always now, right? But the church itself as an institution where I mean, the norms by which church leaders, decide this is how we're going to do things going forward, things of that nature. Keep going forward. Don't go back. That's why I mean, oh yeah, the early church, yeah, the early church. That's exactly what was the early church designed to do. I mean, the early church they knew that the church now was gonna have different set of rules when it comes down to the administration, that kind of thing, and having the priest getting married, and that falls into that category. Yes, in the early church they were, but now they're not. Now they're developed. They go past because they follow the advice of Holy Father Saint Paul against ministers of God getting married. He says so himself. And the Lord also hinted at that when the passage in the Bible where it talks about, the Lord allowing for the possibility of someone not getting married for the service, for the glory of God. And again, I don't know about you, but if it's good enough for the Lord, it's good enough for me. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like the Lord, in other words, was already telling us what is His preference, even if it's not a commandment. But this is what I would do. If you tell me if Jesus comes down, talk to you, and you can see that it's Him, and you prostrate and kneel and then kiss His feet and adore Him and everything, and He gives you a suggestion, you're not going to follow it. So be real. I mean, assuming that you love Jesus, right? Uh, if you don't, then uh, this is not for you, right? Because you don't listen anyway. So this is for those who are willing to accept something. I have other tastes for the ones that I don't want to let them listen to those tapes. I mean, the tapes videos. Yeah, I'm old fashioned, old school. But anyway, I mean, you know what I mean. So but I mean, this is for only for believers. Anyway. But that's it. That's all I have to say. There was something more that I was going to say, but basically that's what it was about. I just want to go over and mention this because, in reality, when they tell you, I mean, the reality is that most of us do not want to think about the end. And you know what I mean by the end? Our death, physical death. By our soul separates from our body. Nobody, no one, no, no. I don't want to. Let's go to the cemetery and pray for some soul since I don't want to go there. They hate to go to the cemetery. And they go only when some relative of them die, and it's only because they're forced to, so to speak. But they don't. Oh no, wait. They don't want to think about death. It's like dig in their heads like the ostrich. You can run, but you can't hide. So you might as well embrace it now. Ain't gonna get any prettier, that's for sure. Closer it gets, the uglier it gets because obviously it's right there. Say, no, 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 mismo llamar al diablo que verlo venir, right? So, the closer you get to the final moment. So that's why, since we know it's not gonna get any prettier, you might as well embrace it. If you can't beat him, join him. Oh, como decía Miguel de Unamuno, haz por merecer la muerte. That's what he meant. You know, make sure that you grow and mature your way of thinking enough to not desire to die anyway, because that's irrelevant. It's gonna happen. But to be ready when it happens. Are you ready? Am I ready? At least I went a confession early today. So, see, that's the one thing. How do you get ready for the unavoidable expectation, the unavoidable event that's going to happen? I mean, it's just unavoidable. It's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Are you ready? And unlike the 10-year-old, you, a 10-year-old, got very depressed when he told, oh, you only have 40. Now, if you're a little bit wiser and put on in your shoes right now, in your state of life right now, where you are right now, your attitude is going to be different. Your attitude is, oh, yeah, of course. You accept it. Now that you accepted it, that's the first step. Then what are you going to do about it? Go to confession, receive the sacrament. God bless you. Talk to you later.